Hi, everybody. Welcome to the SmartOne Club. Today, we have a very, very, very special guest. His name is Carlos Harrison. Carlos, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how you got to where you are?
And now I think if people are using labels, they call me a writer and an actor. I've been a writer most of my life. I was a journalist in both print and television, newspapers and magazines for longer than most people I know have been alive. And then a couple of years ago, I said, I want to try something different. I want to see something different. It would be really interesting to see what it's like to have other people's words come out of my mouth. I've actually written and sold scripts too, movie scripts. But I said, let me see what this is like. And so a couple of years ago, I started acting. And this past week, I just finished a big supporting role in my sixth movie in 2 years. Got a couple on Amazon Prime right now. On Disney Channel. Got one coming on BET. It's just, you know. So I've been very lucky. I'm having a lot of fun, and it fits into my life philosophy that is that if you want to try something, then you probably should, and then let it see how it feels. Because if I had done it and I hadn't liked it, I would have stopped. But I did it. I'm having fun. And you know what? When you're having fun, I think the universe hears you and
Yeah.
life kind of lets you say, ooh, ride that wave, enjoy it. It takes you. So, yes, I've been having fun.
Yeah, and you quite literally rode that wave.
Yes, I will quite happily tell you my age. I am 67 years old at the time of this being recorded.
Oh,
Yeah, there it is. I'm 67 years old. This year I learned to surf. A few months ago, I learned to surf during the summer. And a couple months before that, I went scuba diving with surrounded by sharks for the first time in my life. I went skydiving 2 years ago. And I just believe that, um, life is for enjoying. You get one time through and you get to choose and you get to do. And if I were making a statement for myself, it's the statement is no limits. I don't believe in them. And so I feel that you go and you do and you see. And you know what? If I hadn't been able to stand up on that surfboard, it would have been okay. But uh, I did, and that was okay too.
I'll
So
share the link for that for anybody who's interested. You can see the caption for the link of the best video you'll ever see. Follow him on YouTube, follow him on TikTok, Instagram, Carlos Enrique Harrison. Everything will be below. All
and
right.
well, and I also had a lot of fun falling while I was learning to get up on the board because
I loved that.
if you ever watch, I got three kids, grown ups now, but three kids. And the amazing thing about them, a lesson in life is if you ever watch a kid learning to walk, it's like they don't wait for instructions. They don't wait for you to show them how it's done. They don't watch YouTube videos. They just get up and they start trying and they fall down a lot, but they get up again. And every time they fall, it's like a kid never says, "Oh, that's it. I stink at this. I failed. I'm never." They get they learn something and they go, huh. And you watch them. You can watch them process. It's so
That's
cool.
cool.
They'll start, they're stumbling along and they'll fall and they sit on their butts for a second and they kind of look around and then you see them, they'll grab onto something and pull themselves back up, or they'll do that lean forward thing where they get their weight to get them up again. And then they start trying again. And sooner or later, it becomes one step, then two, then three. And then you spend the rest of your life chasing them all over the house. No, no, don't come here. So, but that's a lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of, and listen, I'll give a plug to these folks because I agree with the philosophy. I think that's smart. I think that if you believe that you can do something, you look in the mirror and you see yourself, and if you dress the part and you are the part, they say fake it till you make it. I don't think you're faking it. I think that from the very first moment that you are dressed and ready to go and looking in the mirror and saying, this is what I'm going to do, that you're on your way to doing it. And it began already. And I think that that's really smart. So I think it's a cool thing that they're doing this. You know?
Yeah. Okay, well, that kind of answered one of my questions. So, who or what has been your biggest inspiration in pursuing your current goals? Like, what's inspired you?
I carry around a saying with me from an old time baseball player who played well, a pitcher, pitched well into his 40s and was great at it. Which, look, yes, I know Tom Brady, and you're throwing a football, and it's very challenging at his age. LeBron is quite advanced in age for a professional basketball player. But to stand on a pitcher's mound and pitch fastballs into your late 40s and strike people out, that's really hard. And I'm not saying that as a baseball fan. I just happen to know it's really hard. But
Hmm.
Satchel Paige is this old time pitcher who pitched well into his late 40s, and he always said, "How old would you be if you didn't know how old you are?" And that is an inspirational statement to me, because I believe that, look, when I was younger, I had the same ageist ideas that many people still carry around and everything else. I didn't think, once you got to a certain age, you were supposed to retire from your work and sit on a couch. And I don't believe that that's true. I believe that we get every opportunity to go out and see what the world can do. So I'd say that Satchel Paige is an inspiration. I would say that people like Tom Brady and LeBron, who are defying what are the expectations of them. I'm not comparing myself athletically, but I'm talking about, we seem to believe that Betty White is
Hmm.
inspirational, because not only was she doing it well past the age when most people would say, "What are you doing?" but she was showing you that, guess what? Old people can be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
I think one of the nice things about growing up is it takes a long time to get comfortable in your own skin and to feel like you can do what you want to do. And it kind of frees you up to say stuff. Doesn't everybody have that aunt who, when you walk into their house and everything else, and you bring somebody with you and they go, "Oh my gosh, she's so skinny. She needs to eat. Come here, sit down. You need to eat. You're skinny." Then you go, "God, Aunt Margaret, leave her alone." You just met her. But it's cool to be able to look at stuff and speak your mind, to have to laugh, and to, I hope, to inspire. I know I'm not answering your question well, but I hope to
No, your answer,
inspire.
you're doing great.
I hope to inspire my grandchildren whenever I have some. I know that there's a younger generation already within the family who would probably be like somewhere between my grandchildren and great grandchildren, because people tend to have kids young in this family. Um, but uh, but they look at me and they call me uncle, and they're like impressed and amazed that I'm doing the things. They're impressed by the fact they love watching me on Amazon Prime, watching my movies and going, that's deal ding. And
Hmm.
you know and to know that I'm going off to do this adventure, and I'm going off to do this other stuff. And my wife and I are spending more time in Puerto Rico now, where she's from. And she said to me, you should join a scuba diving club, because now we're going back by the water where you can enjoy yourself. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. So someone going to tell me, "But you're 67 years old." It's like, yes, and I can still breathe, and I can still breathe through a respirator, and I can still swim. So
Hmm.
do all those things. So who's an inspiration? Satchel Paige, Tom Brady, LeBron, uh, needs no last name. LeBron
Betty
James,
White.
Betty White. Betty White, very much so. My wife too is inspirational. A lot of people put limitations on themselves, or they listen to the limitations that other people want, the expectations that other people put on you. And I think that that's a huge, huge mistake. I think that we each get to decide for ourselves who we want to be and what we want to do. And they keep telling us at very young age, you know, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for a living? What are you going to go to school for? What are you going to college for? What are you going to, what are you going to study? What are you going to be? It's like, look, you know, it's okay to have an idea, and it may be your idea, but it may also, when you get there, say, I know a very good lawyer who became a lawyer because he was in med school. And one of the professors said, if you don't have a very high B or A average by your second year and can maintain it, you're not going to be a doctor in this country. And he had a good solid C.
Mm.
Said, well, I guess I'll do something else. He's having a ball. He's a lawyer having a ball. So it kind of forces itself on you. I think people go to work at something and you think you're going to love it, and you go and you do it. And it may be 10 minutes into it, it may be 10 years into it, that you suddenly look up and go, ugh. I mean, of course, they call it work and they pay you to do it because it's not supposed to be fun all the time. Otherwise, it'd be a vacation and you'd be paying them. But
Hmm.
if you're not, if you look up 10 minutes or 10 years into something you're doing and you think of, this is just miserable and it has been miserable as long as I can remember, then the only person who's keeping you there at that point is you. You get to go and decide to do something else. And I tell all my nieces and nephews and kids, you know, listen, you want to, not everybody's designed for college, but if that's, what you want to do, go to college, pick a career, go do what you want to do. And guess what? If you halfway through your college career, you go, woof, I don't want to do that anymore. You don't. Go do something else.
If
Who's
you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, don't ever let yourself get to the point in life where you look back. I know a guy, I have a friend, and I feel so much for him. I have a friend who spent his entire life working for the phone company. And he studied photography in college. And after he retired from the phone company is when I met him and we became friends. And I was looking at he started doing photography again. And I said, wow, you're really talented. Did you ever think of doing that as a career? And he goes, well, I went to college for it and everything else. I says, why didn't you do it? I said, well, I got married. I had to feed a family. And
Yeah.
he said, I hated every day I went to work at the
That's
phone.
awful.
I hated it for 40 years. I hated every single day. And I said, but Robert, you could have gone and tried the photography, or start doing that on the weekend, start doing it at night until, find out if it's going to pay its way or not. And he said, no, I had to feed a family. I had a wife, I had a kid. I was like, well,
So,
so have I, you
yeah.
know. But so anyway, so the point is, I think that I don't think that we should let other people set the expectations for us. I don't think that other people should set our limits for us. I think that it's your life and you should enjoy it in every way that you possibly can. And that includes what you do to work. Your work should, if it doesn't come from your passion, then it should still give you enjoyment and give you time for your real passion. And if you don't enjoy going there every day, then look, you're driving past how many other types of businesses on your way to your workplace. Did you ever stop and think, wow, that guy looks pretty happy doing what he's doing. Maybe I should go talk to him.
Yeah. He's pretty smart.
Go do it. It is smart. I think that living your life the way you want to live it, setting your own expectations and not allowing yourself to be limited, that's smart.
Exactly.
Right. And you should
But
see
smart's different
look
to
in the mirror.
everybody.
Well, smart is different to everybody. And I think that I think that you should, I will bring it back to Smart One Life and the clothing and everything else. I believe that the person you see in the mirror should be the person you want to be. And so I think that, however you decide, but I think that, it is smart to know that your self-image is that person you see in the mirror. And so, dress the part, be smart about it, and then go out and tackle your day. And remember, that's the other rule of life is, and it's certainly, I think, I still slip into it where days get away from me and I look back and say, wow, what did I do with my day? What did I do with yesterday? And I've got a saying that I look at every morning to remind myself, and it says, when somebody asks you, what'd you do yesterday? Do you really want the answer to be nothing? You know?
Well, I don't.
Right. It should be, go find whatever your enjoyment is. If it's, I play guitar and I get a lot of fun out of pleasure out of that. I may just read a book, but
Now, is reading a book how you stay, like, is that how you stay on top of it and educate yourself in your field? Like,
I
how do you stay up to date and continue to be the best you can be in your field?
oh well, well, with writing, I've been writing for professionally, paid to write for 40 something years now. And yeah, I got like I'm on book number 21, and I've written thousands of newspaper articles, hundreds of magazine articles,
Hmm.
television. I was in TV for a decade, all that stuff. How do I stay? Every morning I still read at least one article about writing. It may be, I may read a book. I may read a Stephen King's book on writing. I may read Zinsser on writing well. Whatever it is about writing, about the actual craft. I'm always looking at stuff, whether it's script writing. I read scripts, but also, it's the kind of thing that you can pick up in part by osmosis. So reading a book, fiction tells you something, nonfiction tells you something about specific things. Fiction, Jimmy Buffett has a line in one of his songs in which he says, I've read dozens of books about heroes and crooks, and I've learned much from both of their styles. And
Hmm.
I believe that, people say, oh, no, I never read fiction. I only read nonfiction. And it's like, well, if that's cool for you, but you know what? You can learn a lot about the human animal reading in fiction also. And, whatever your genre is that you love. So I tend to read a fiction book and then followed by a nonfiction, then a fiction and nonfiction. And I used to look down my nose at people who only listen to audiobooks, but
Oh, hush.
as I've had to do more driving, I'm finding that that's another opportunity for me. And
Hmm.
so, I'm listening to books all the time, and then I'm reading all the time. But the advantage, and it used to be as a scriptwriter, it used to be that I could, and I still can. I mean, I will go to a movie and I'll be sitting there and suddenly I'll look and I'll go, oh, 25 minutes. And my wife, I remember when we first met, she looked at me and go, what? I go, we're 25 minutes in. She go, okay. I haven't looked at my watch. A little time goes by and I go, 45 minutes. And after a while, she said, what are you doing and how do you do that? And I said, I'm marking the beats. I can tell exactly, when it's a really formulaic story, I can tell exactly where the act breaks are coming at what minute in the script, because it's like writing poetry in a way, writing a sonnet or haiku, that there's so many beats that go along as the story is being told.
Wow.
So after I picked up acting, I now told my wife, "Oh, great! Now I have a whole new way to irritate you at movies." So you sit there and look at somebody and go, "Oh my God, look at the stillness." And she's like, "The what?" He's not. And I go, "But it's so captivating when you see somebody who's really, really good at it." Lily Gladstone from Flowers of the Killer Moon just got nominated for an Academy Award, won a Golden Globe, the first Native American to accomplish either of those things. And if you watch the movie, where she's really great is when she's not saying anything and she's just looking at people, and you read so much in her face. I was
Hmm.
telling a friend the other day, or yeah, I think it was last year, a year before, my wife, for my birthday, she knows I love Cirque du Soleil. And so she took me to see Cirque du Soleil. And I know, you're watching the acrobatics and everything else, and it's amazing and it's wonderful and everything they do, and the storyline is great. But there are a couple of kind of like comedic narrators, they're kind of like the comic relief, but they're also pulling the story forward. Whatever story it is, there's always someone who comes out who, if it were a regular circus, might be the ringmaster. In this kind of thing, is sort of a narrator
Like an
or
MC.
yeah, but they're kind of like, they're moving the story along. The fascinating thing, I was watching these two guys, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Oh my God, those people are such amazing actors." And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Watch their faces, the expressiveness." It was like watching someone mold claymation, it's like their faces would just contort and switch, and there'd be, the sadness would actually make it like their faces sagged, and the happiness made them go up like they'd been just, like just
Yeah.
pulled up this way. And I was like, wow, to be able to do that is amazing. So, yes, I have a brand new way to irritate people. So, how do I educate myself? Luckily, I get to watch movies. I get to watch TV series. I get to read a lot, which are things that I love, and I've always loved learning. So no matter what I see or read, whether it's a documentary or it's, I watched my what is it? My favorite octopus, or my octopus friend, is like this documentary from a couple of years ago about a guy who befriends this little octopus. Now I stopped eating octopus. I used to love octopus, but I feel so they might be so intelligent. Just because we can't communicate with them doesn't mean we should eat them, you know.
Hmm.
So I started learning more about that, and I just and then yeah, I think that we should use our bodies because it is a gift. My Jewish friends say, well, they're taught within the faith that the body is a temple and is to be regarded as such. I wasn't brought up in that belief system, but I agree with them. And so, yeah, I go to the gym or do some kind of physical activity pretty much 7 days a week.
Wow.
Um,
Well, good.
so
And look at you. See, if you didn't know your age, how old would you feel?
uh,
How old would you be?
younger, certainly younger.
Yeah.
I went to I train in Krav Maga, and I went to a session today, and obviously sparring with people who are half my age, who can't believe that they're fighting someone who could be their grandfather, and that he's giving them what for,
Mm.
that it's not just, oh, be careful with grandpa. It's like,
No, so
no.
much of it's in the mind.
you know
So much of it is in the mind.
Well, yeah. And on my way there, I was listening to an article from Outside Magazine about how elite athletes prepare with mental toughness, because you're absolutely right. It is in the mind. And I think, and again, I'll bring it back to SmartOne Life. Um, I believe that the image that you have of yourself is the image that you can create in life. And so when you look in the mirror, if you live that person, look, Superman doesn't really need the cape to fly, does he?
No.
It's a fashion statement. So, I mean,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah. All
so
right. Well,
you got to
I'm
know.
gonna I'm gonna ask you one more question, Carlos. Okay, so I want you to imagine, right? We're gonna play a little game of pretend. I want you to imagine that you're designing your very own Smart One shirt and you can have any design on it on the back or the front. What would it be? Anything. It could be a unicorn, like anything in the world. What would it be?
Um, I'll give you two different thoughts here, and I'll explain both because I believe that smart answers are simple. So I would be with a very simple shirt, and the only words on it, if we were to use words, would be no limits, period.
I love it.
That's it. It's
I
no
love it.
limits with period because that's it. Um, because it is simple. And so if you want to complicate this message, it's simple, no limits. But let the
Those
no
are the
limit.
two examples.
Yeah, that's it. But then if you're going to visually add something, I would have however one would graphically show it, but a dazzling sunrise, a sunrise reaching up, coming up, because I believe that every day is an opportunity and every new dawn does bring new hope. And it's up to you to seize that day. So between this sunrise and the next one, you should live these 24 hours to the way that are most fulfilling for you.
Your wish is my command. That's me doing magic.
Okay. Okay.
Well, Carlos, how can one find you? Where should we find you? You're one of the most interesting people I know, so thank you for being a part of this little Smart One Club interview. No, I'm for real. You are. You really are. And
I think
you're
that says more about I think that says more about the people you know than about how interesting I might be.
you are fascinating. You are so much fun to follow on social media. I crack up whenever I see your videos on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and put all of the links to those things in the caption, but
That's the places where you will find me.
that's where we'll find you.
But if you want to reach me, then you can go to carlosharrison.com. And there you will find links to all of those places. You will find information about me, and you can also reach out to me.